it may sound like deja vu all over again. Apple says a prototype of the iPhone 5 is missing, apparently left at a California restaurant by an employee. Now Apple wants the phone back. Reporter Jean L. has the story.
Apple doesn't let its secrets fall far from the tree, but CNET technology writer Declan McCullough says top secret valuable prototypes of the next international sensation are floating around.
It's almost a little silly, but in reality what happens is that if you're nearing the introduction date of a new product, if you're a manufacturer, you actually have to test these in the wild. You can't just walk around the campus in Cupertino and say, it works here, so it must work everywhere.
The bar staff at Cava 22 in San Francisco's Mission District says in July, a customer called for several days asking if they found his iPhone. CNET says the phone he was looking for was an unreleased prototype, and Apple set out to get it back. GPS tracking told Apple the phone was in Bernal Heights, but a search left Apple empty-handed. McCullough believes whoever found it sold it on Craigslist.
As far as we can tell, it may have been sold on Craigslist. There was an ad that went up on Craigslist, here's an iPhone for $200. It may or may not work.
If this all sounds familiar, you're right. Last year, an Apple employee left an iPhone 4 prototype at a bar in Redwood City. 2 men are facing criminal charges for selling that prototype to Gawker Media's Gizmodo blog. The men knew they had something special, even though the prototype was disguised.
The prototype iPhone 4 was actually in a case that made it look a lot like an iPhone 3GS, which was the current model at the time. And it wasn't unless you actually started taking it apart you realized, whoa, there's something a little strange here.
Apple is hoping whoever has the latest lost prototype isn't a tech expert. If the phone ends up in the hands of the competition, they could take a bite out of Apple's secrets and profits.
If our competitors find out about this, this could cost us billions of dollars. It gives our rivals an edge. It lets them know what we're doing.
Joining me now is tech expert Tony Marengo, is the CEO of the MacTutor and is very familiar with all things Apple. Worked for Apple for 7 years, he tells me. So why does this keep happening? What's up with the disappearance of the iPhone?
I think that's a question that Apple security would be very interested in knowing. This is the second prototype phone that Apple's lost in 2 years. And the first one was a case of perhaps an employee over-imbibing, losing the phone and then selling it to a technical blog for a sum of $5,000. That caused Apple to sue several parties, including that technical blog, and that trial is still going on today.
Is that right? And they're taking there's some criminal action that's been taken as well, according to that story. And first of all, so we know the iPhone 5 is out there. This time maybe seems like some guy that maybe just left it and big. Maybe, you know, you're right. But wouldn't we have heard something by now? Because he left it in July. Wouldn't we have heard some drips and drabs?
For a company that so prides itself on secrecy and product secrecy, this seems almost unbelievable to some.
Yeah, publicity maybe? Leaking of, maybe it's a false iPhone 5?
It's possible. It was interesting yesterday, all the tech news was about a new Samsung phone that's coming in on October. And then today, all the news is about the iPhone 5. I don't know if it's a coincidence.
Yeah, well, they are marketing masters. There's no doubt about that.
I agree.
Have you heard anything about what could be on this new iPhone 5?
Yeah, I'm excited about a few of the new features that are rumored.
Okay.
It's supposed to have a better camera, a better screen, perhaps a bigger screen.
It has a pretty darn good camera already. That's awesome.
It does. They're supposed to make the jump to 8 megapixels, which is really exciting. And then it's supposed to be twice as fast with a more powerful chip, so a lot of things to look forward to.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun. So now you literally are living off of Apple as a MacTutor.
I do, yeah. I love the brand. Everybody in the MacTutor we're absolutely Mac purists.
I can't help it, right?
Yeah.
It's your bread and butter. So when are we going to see the iPhone 5?
Smart Money has it coming out late September, early October.
Okay. So since this may or may not be a publicity stunt, say this were for real, that this really did happen. When or might we see, or are people kind of scared off by what happened last time? When could we or should we be seeing some little drips and drabs of information?
You know, I think they're probably the person who has it, if they realize they have it now, they will be scared.
Yeah. Because
they saw what happened and the people are going through the ringer from what happened last time. So be very guarded about letting that out publicly. But I know companies like Google and HTC and Samsung would be very interested in getting their hands on an iPhone 5 prototype.
So that maybe that's where it got sold. And in that case, then that might be a whole different type of story.
Could be.
All right. Well, it's very interesting how it happens. And of course, you know, it'll be interesting to see if and when the iPhone 5 does come out, if Steve Jobs will be involved in that. Have you heard anything else about his health? Just out of curiosity.
You know, I haven't heard anything personally about his health.
Yeah.
At the MacTutor, we certainly wish him the best.
Oh, absolutely. We saw those pictures on TMZ that he didn't look so good. So.
I know. I wish I could unsee those.
Yeah, me too. It's sort of sad to see. Anyway, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
It's still sort of a fun sort of espionage-y sort of thing to talk about.
We'll see what happens.
All right, thanks, Tony. Well, coming up, it is some players' last chance to make an impression tonight as the Bears close out their preseason. Peggy Kaczynski will have more from Soldier Field. Plus, an amazing hockey shot, the promise of money, then the enormous letdown. Was it a $50,000 shot or a $50,000 lesson in honesty? That decision coming up.